Harley-Davidson, Internationalization in the Trump Era by Nicholas Abbate. Harley-Davidson is an iconic motorcycle company started over 100 years ago by William Harvey and Arthur Davidson. Harley-Davidson mounted its V-turn engine to a frame in 1909, and it has been linked with Harley-Davidson ever since. By 1920, Harley-Davidson had become the world's biggest motorcycle manufacturer. It had 2,000 dealers in 67 countries. In 2016, over 262,000 bikes were sold, accounting for most of the $6 billion in annual revenue. Harley-Davidson merchandise, leather jackets, boots, t-shirts, and more represented 5.4% of revenue in 2016, almost $285 million. Unfortunately, not that many people in the United States are buying Harleys or any other motorcycles now. Harley-Davidson must rethink their strategy in motorcycles in order to increase sales and improve stock prices. The European and Asian markets are the place to be right now as far as motorcycle riding is concerned. However, changes must be made in the motorcycles they sell. The United States is the only place who wants the big Harleys, and that is usually the core riders who are now aging. New American riders, as well as riders overseas, are more interested in a smaller, sleeker motorcycle. Recently, tariffs imposed by Europe and Asia have made it extremely expensive to import motorcycles. Expansion overseas seems to be the only option for Harley-Davidson at this point. CEO Matthew Levitish has said that even if Harley-Davidson opens a plant in Thailand, which is the plan, the motorcycles made there will be sold there, and the motorcycles made in the United States will stay here. Question 1. What are the challenges and opportunities facing Harley-Davidson? Baby boomers are aging. Although baby boomers can afford the big motorcycles they have been riding for years, they are getting too old to ride. At age 70 or 75, they are not able to handle the big bikes anymore, and sadly the number of the older riders is dwindling. Millennials aren't embracing the motorcycle lifestyle. Millennials don't have the interest of baby boomers in riding motorcycles. They have young families, student loans, and can't afford to buy a motorcycle for the sheer enjoyment of riding a bike. Competition. Polaris Industries bought Indian Motorcycle in 2011. Polaris is an American manufacturer of snowmobiles, ATVs, etc. It is based in Minnesota. It is now manufacturing motorcycles and is competing with Harley-Davidson. However, Indian Motorcycle is more what the young American wants. Harley-Davidson plans to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to stimulate growth through new motorcycles. Although Harley-Davidson hopes to see the smaller motorcycles in India and Southeast Asia, they plan on having an electric bike in 2019, and an adventure touring bike is now being tested in Arizona and is expected to be available in the year 2020. This is being done to compete with Polaris and try to draw in a younger market. Promising overseas demand. There is great opportunities overseas, especially in Asia, for motorcycles, but there are high import taxes. Thailand has a 60% tax, India 100%, and China 30%. In 2011, Harley opened a plant in China. It plans on doing the same in Thailand. New products. Harley-Davidson can and will make more diverse motorcycles. The European and Asian markets do not want the big Harleys. In order to stay in competition, they must change their style. Question 2. Describe the global and domestic context facing the Chief Executive Officer. Harley-Davidson stock has decreased. Harley-Davidson stock has fallen because sales are down worldwide. Motorcycles do not have the same appeal today as they did years ago. The core riders are disappearing. The European Union has also increased tariffs on motorcycles from 6% to 31%. Europe is a key market for Harley-Davidson, and the tariff increase will greatly increase the cost of buying a motorcycle in Europe. This increase is due to the fact that President Trump has pulled out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership and imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum. Tweets from President Trump. President Trump has used tweets to admonish CEOs of companies who don't put America first. Harley-Davidson CEO has come under fire as well. President Trump said Harley is using the retaliatory tariffs as an excuse to move manufacturing abroad. President Trump believes Harley should be made nowhere but in the United States. These tweets can hurt the CEOs and their companies. People believe they are trying to hurt our country by not putting America first. Competition. Harley-Davidson is facing competition from many European and Japanese manufacturers such as Yamaha, Kawasaki, and Honda. Younger people prefer speedier, sportier motorcycles that provide more comfort. Harley-Davidson cannot compete at this time. The fastest bikes are Suzuki with a top speed of 248 miles per hour, Kawasaki with a speed of 220 miles per hour, and Ducati with a speed of 169 miles per hour. It is also cheaper for someone overseas to purchase a motorcycle there rather than have it imported from the United States. Even though Matthew Levitish said Harley-Davidson will focus on motorcycles appealing to younger adults, women, and minorities if they live overseas, unless Harley manufactures motorcycles there, they may still be in trouble with the competition. Old White Guy Brand. The real riders who made up the company's traditional customer base were white males 45 or older. These people are now aging or declining in numbers. Harley-Davidson has to appeal to a younger generation who are not interested in the big motorcycle their grandfathers rode. They want a smaller, sleeker, easier to ride motorcycle. This is what Harley needs to focus on now. Question 3. How does foreign policy affect business in general and international expansion in particular? America First foreign policy. The Trump administration is committed to a foreign policy focused on American interests and American national security. When it comes to trade, President Trump wants American businesses and workers first. He feels new trade agreements that are tough and fair can return jobs to America. With an America First policy, international expansion is politically incorrect. Trans-Pacific Partnership. On January 23, 2017, President Trump pulled the United States out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Being in the Trans-Pacific Partnership would have been good for Harley-Davidson, as it was aimed at boosting trade and reducing tariffs among 12 nations. CEO Levitish said Harley-Davidson will get on with its plan to build a plant in Thailand. He said trade policies could have helped Harley-Davidson, but they must grow the business by any means possible. And although Harley-Davidson would rather not make the investment in the Thailand factory, it is necessary to assess a very important market. Question 4. What approach would you recommend Levitish take in order to grow sales and increase the stock price? Harley-Davidson stock overall on the year is down. In order to set the stock in the right direction, which is so important, I would advise CEO Levitish to go along with the President's American First foreign policy. Harley-Davidson is an iconic brand that was born in the United States and has grown in the United States for over 100 years. By going along with the America First policy, loyal customers who have bought Harley-Davidson motorcycles for many years will be happy. It will also make the workers of Harley-Davidson happy, as they believe Harley-Davidson should not be built anywhere but in the United States with United States workers. President Trump will also be happy as he believes America First will eventually improve the economy in the United States and secure jobs for American workers. President Trump may even tweet positively about CEO Levitish and Harley-Davidson, which may increase stock prices and possibly even sales. Of course, Harley-Davidson will have to adapt to the times by innovating new technology that will not only make motorcycles more appealing, but more affordable to people who would not normally purchase them.